So Gasset goes on then to describe sort of the disconnect between material goods, right, the things that are created and the money that they create, and the production of these things, right? So that we can talk about two things in talking about technology and talking about things that are technical. You can talk about the creation of the thing which is technical, you know, the creation of an iPad. It's funny because a few days ago, Barack, I think, I read it on Yahoo briefly, but Barack must have said something like, you know, the iPad is a distraction. And everybody was like, Barack thinks the iPad's a distraction? You know, this is the BlackBerry president and you think the iPad's a distraction? And I think everybody sort of, no one took it really serious. And I don't even know that that's what he said because I didn't watch the speech. But I think I get the gist of his suggestion, were that to be his suggestion, is that we're distracted by technology, right? We have an appreciation, we have almost a mandate for technology. We just think that we ought to have technologically savvy things, right? But what we don't recognize and what we don't appreciate is the effort that it takes to produce those technologically savvy things. And not even so much the production, because now the production can be mainstream, but the ingenuity it takes to develop those technologically savvy things. And you know, Gasset addresses this, and he's addressed this like maybe 70, 80 years ago. For example, he says, and I think this is a perfect passage to sort of classify, to sort of capture the feeling behind this chapter. He says, it is becoming difficult to attract students to the laboratories of pure science, which was true then, which is certainly true now, right? People aren't interested in doing hard science, right? So he says, it is becoming difficult to attract students to the laboratories of pure science. And this is happening when industry is reaching its highest degree of development, right? So it is becoming difficult to attract students to science. And this is precisely happening when industry is reaching its highest point of development. And when reaching its highest point of development, and when people in general are showing still greater appetite for the use of the apparatus and the medicine created by science. So there's obviously a problem with this model. And as far as Gasset is concerned, he can see this model being exhausted. And how does this happen? Well, think of it like this. If we have technological advancement, right? If we have technological advancement, and we recognize that technological advancement requires to be able to reach this peak is itself supported by scientific inquiry, right? So if we have technological advancement is where we're trying to attain, and that technological advancement is supported by a prior condition, this condition being scientific inquiry, and that scientific inquiry is itself supported by a more fundamental claim, and this would be scientist, and we'd also put aspiring scientists, students. So, since we have a desire for technological advancement, and that technological advancement is supported by scientific inquiry, and scientific inquiry is supported by scientists, and I put aspiring scientists because we're talking about students, Gasset is talking about students, then a decrease in those people interested in science, becoming scientists, means that there will be an overall, a collective decrease in scientific inquiry, right? And if there's a decrease in scientific inquiry, right, because of a decrease in those aspiring to be scientists, then there should obviously be a decrease in technological advancement. However, the paradox, according to Gasset, is that the mass man is less interested in understanding the mechanics and the methodologies, right, the scientific method specifically. He's uninterested in understanding what it takes to become a scientist. So he's not interested. There's going to be a decrease in scientists. However, he still expects there to be an increase in technology. And you can see that that's asinine, right? It's ridiculous. It's a very simple point. But it's always the simple points that are the most difficult to arrive at. Gasset recognizes that this is paradoxical. How can the masked man say that he's uninterested in things that are scientific, acknowledge that there is a decrease in those aspiring to be scientists? He says specifically, it is becoming difficult to attract students to the laboratories of pure science. And this is happening when industry is reaching its highest stage of development, and when people in general are showing still greater appetite for the use of the apparatus and the medicines created by science, right? Created by science. So it makes no sense to say that we don't hold it as a relative goal or any substance to aspire to be a scientist or to aspire to understand the concepts of scientific inquiry, while also holding the claim that we want more stuff, right? We want more tech-savvy stuff. Well, how do you get tech-savvy stuff? You get it from scientists, right? And you get it from scientific inquiry. So if there's a decrease in this, there has to be a decrease in this. So it's just fallacious, right? Pretty generic. I don't think that is too difficult to grasp. He complicates it a little bit, right? And I'm going to read the complication. He says, the whole world is a civilized one. Its inhabitants are not, right? So the whole world is a civilized one, but its inhabitants are not. Okay? He does not see the civilization of the world around him, but he uses it as if it were a natural force. He does not, the masked man does not see the civilization of the world around him, but he uses it as if it were a natural force. The new man wants his motor car and enjoys it, but he believes that it is a spontaneous fruit of the Edenic tree, right? The tree from the Garden of Eden, right? So, what does that mean? Well, let's just read that again so we get it, because you might read that. It's a very short line. It's like one sentence, but there's a lot packed into it. The world is a civilized one. Its inhabitants are not. He does not see the civilization of the world around him, but he uses it, that is the world, as if it were a natural force. The new man wants his motor car, so he wants the benefits of technological advancement, and he enjoys the benefits of technological advancement, but he believes that it is the spontaneous fruit. So what does that mean?